Balancing feminine and masculine energies within. This is the topic of the Lovetarian Way podcast today. Welcome, everyone. I have with me a fantastic guest who is actually returning to the podcast, Dr. Merlin Pixton. He is welcome.
Thank you.
He is a doctor of metaphysics. He's an author. Merlin, would you like to show your book that you've recently published? Awaken and Journey to Your True Self. Yes, and that is a wonderful book with many, many beautiful tools to help us heal ourselves, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's like a self-improvement guide, really, that you can go back and use the exercises and stuff in there. So yeah.
Wonderful. If anybody is here live with us, you have a chance to actually be eligible for a fantastic giveaways. Merlin would want to give away his ebook, right? And meditation, help you balance those energies. So if you're going to participate in live interaction here, for sure you will get it. So just comment, give us your name here in the comments. And if it's not going to happen, then just simply be very active in the comments after when you watch it on YouTube or Facebook, and make sure to give permission to StreamYard to show your name, so then we know who we're dealing with. All right, without further ado, balancing the energies within. So Merlin, what have you got to say about that and why it is important?
Okay, so the core of it, where we actually start, is understanding our ascension journey, and in the Sophia Code cosmology, we identify that each of us are an individual key code, is what it's called in that. So we're an individual representation of Source within us. And so when you understand the nature of Source, you understand that Source is a balance of masculine and feminine, divine masculine and divine feminine energy. And I talk about this is that we only actually take physical gender when we incarnate into physical form. So when we're our beautiful soul spirit selves, we are that beautiful mix of divine masculine and divine feminine energy. So part of our ascension journey is for us to embody our higher self in our physical form. And so to embody that, we need to embody our source light fully within our physical bodies. And that source within us is a divine feminine and divine masculine. It doesn't matter what gender you actually are in this incarnation. And so kind of that's the core premise to why do we need to do it? Why is it important? And there is more to it, really. When you're thinking about the importance of it, we're also thinking about how it's important to us in terms of our relationships with others and our relationship with ourselves. So we've lived in duality for thousands of years. So we've had light and dark, good and bad, right and wrong, and all of that is we're moving away from that. We're moving away from all of that duality into oneness, into unity. And so the duality of masculine and feminine being two completely separate things is also what we're moving away from. So the importance of in embodying that mix of our masculine and feminine energy is an important aspect and element of our ascension journey.
Yeah. Beautiful. So how does it, can you give some examples from modern life, because a lot of people are struggling? Could it be so that they are not in balance?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about kind of the gender spectrum. I like to call it the gender spectrum. So you've got kind of extremely masculine, and at the other end of the spectrum you've got extremely feminine, and then you've got all of the other representations of gender along that spectrum. So, you can get obviously an extremely masculine man, an extremely feminine woman, but then you can also get quite a masculine woman, feminine man, etc. And each of us are our individual representations of our gender. And so as a unique kind of key code, we are also that representation. The challenge with that is that we've been kind of conditioned to go, well, you have to be a man, you have to be like this. To be a woman, you have to be like that. And so often individuals will feel like, well, I don't feel like that, but it means there's something wrong with me.
Yes.
That because I'm not like, what society says I should be, then obviously I need to change myself to be like that, rather than to go, actually, no, I'm perfectly okay being my perfectly me,
Yeah.
unique representation. So in the social brainwashing, so for example, we do it from, when somebody's having a baby, and oh, is it a boy, so I'm going to knit blue, and
Mm.
is it a girl, I'm going to knit pink. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so boys don't wear pink and girls don't wear blue. Well, they do when
Yeah.
they're older, so why do we do it with babies, for example? And you only have to go and buy a greetings card for somebody, and they are amazingly gender stereotyped.
Mm.
Terrible. You'll go in there and you'll see all these things, cards for men, and they've all got kind of butch, butch representations of, a man doing sailing or the man doing gardening, because of course women don't do gardening, do they?
Yeah.
Kind of, it's just, it amazes me the how it is in terms of how the brainwashing kind of is out there, and so the gender roles have changed significantly since the Second World War. So there was very much this: the man was the breadwinner, the woman was, stayed at home and cooked and cleaned and looked after the children. And there's been this suppression, and this is an important element. There's been the suppression of the feminine, of the divine feminine, for thousands of years. So when you it's interesting because there are a lot of speakers who talk about this subject, and they talk about the need for the rise of women and more women to be in leadership roles and what have you. And I absolutely don't disagree with that at all. I think it's really important, because the patriarchal sort of way of things has not served us well at all. However, when I'm talking about the suppression of the divine feminine, what I'm talking about is the divine feminine in both women and men.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Okay, so the divine feminine women, and in fact, for women who have wanted to be successful in business, who've wanted to do well in their jobs, often they've had to embody masculine energy to be able to do that, to be successful in this patriarchal world. And then the men have been in a situation where they have had to suppress their emotions, because men don't cry, kind of teachings, and so that was how it was. That's the suppression of the feminine in men, sorry, that
Mm.
you shouldn't cry, they shouldn't show their emotions, etc., etc. And that's been like that for such a long time. And then post-war, we obviously started to see in the 1960s and 70s a real shift and change to women starting to have their careers, the sort of shift in the family dynamic, and then there was an increase in divorce, more single parent families, and all of those things changed the way that our social society and situation was. The challenge is that we're actually in many ways still in the dark ages when it comes to what it means to be a man or to be a woman living in this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's to answer, Kyle, I know I haven't fully answered your question, and I'm going to.
Waiting.
It's fine, because really the answer is when I start talking about what it is, what the wounded feminine and wounded masculine traits look like. Because when I start reading those out, you kind of then get a real picture and an idea where people can go, oh yeah, I do that, or that's me, or I see that in my friend, or whatever. So I haven't forgotten your question. I'll definitely be there. In terms of so women, if you think about what kind of their new role, so women now are expected to be super women. They're expected to have the career, have the babies, do all of this, be a super mom, be this amazing wife and partner, etc., etc., etc. And it's
And of course, look beautiful.
yeah, look gorgeous, the whole thing. I mean, it's huge. And I think a lot of women go, well, what if I don't want to be that? Or what if I want to be this? And actually, I don't want a career. I'm more than happy to stay at home and look after my babies. Does that mean there's something wrong with me? No. It's a real challenge. And then for men, it's kind of, well, now I'm still expected to be this white knight in shining armor who's going to sweep my woman off her feet and do all of these amazing things for her. But then I still need to change the nappies and clean the toilet and and sit there and cry when it's appropriate and do all of these things. And it's all mixed up in this really confusing melee of, well, where are we exactly? Mm. And so this is where the importance of balance comes in. Because when you start to understand that to be balanced in both of those areas means that if you can behave in a way which, so if I'm talking about me, for example, as a man, so if I can go, right, okay, I can be the supportive, strong, confident, assertive man who's kind of, taking care and being protective. But I'm also able to tap into, I can also be caring and loving and affectionate and kind and compassionate, which are feminine traits. That actually, it makes me a far more balanced person to have a successful relationship with someone, whether that be an intimate relationship or whether that be with a friend or a family member or what have you. That is actually, I'm going to be much more successful in achieving that. And that's kind of where I'm coming from in terms of the need for balance. Yeah.
All right. So then, can you give some examples what happens when people deny that balance?
When they don't, yeah. So this is what happens is that we often find that people are then looking for what they lack within themselves, the lack of balance, to get them balanced out with a partner of their choice, or in a friendship or whatever that looks like. So it's what we'll do is we'll go, well, I'm not very confident and not very assertive, and so I'm actually going to be attracted to a partner who is confident and assertive, and so kind of I'm going to get that from them. Yeah. And that is a common symptom of instead of being a whole person ourselves, instead of being full and complete in our divine self, what we're doing is, well, actually, no, I can't do that for myself, so I'm going to look outside of myself to another person to actually fulfill that need within me. Mm-hmm. But of course, that doesn't work.
What is the remedy? What is the remedy?
Yeah. So it might be useful at this point to kind of go through my kind of bit of a list that I've got of the wounded feminine and wounded masculine. So I'm going to start with wounded masculine, and I'm going to do that because it's kind of what we often see in this kind of patriarchal world, and often in workplaces where you see bullying and harassment and sexual harassment and all sorts of things like that going on. So here's a kind of a list of some of the traits here. So wounded masculine, and I will emphasize here, this can be present in either gender. Mm-hmm. So often critical and judgmental of others, has to always be right, can be defensive, and goes into attack mode when challenged. Mm-hmm. Not very good at taking criticism, fears failure, and doesn't listen very well. Can have narcissistic tendencies, which can breed selfishness and arrogance. He's very competitive, always has to win, and is purely goal and success focused. There is a tendency towards addiction. He's very mind focused, analytical, and not connected to the heart or to emotions. Can be scared of love and often can deliberately create separation because of fear of love. Can easily bring anger to the forefront, is often impatient with themselves and with other people. Actions are often based on fear-based consciousness. So that's that ego, fear elements. Sexual contact can be lack intimacy and unconditional love, and often the sex drive is for pure gratification. So those are wounded masculine. Now, if we compare that to wounded feminine, so wounded feminine, so again, can be present in either gender. Often insecure, can look for confirmation from other people about themselves, and is often needy. Can seem fake or insincere. Can be overtly critical of others because of their own insecurities. Can act and enjoy the role of a victim, deliberately putting others before themselves, deliberately to their own detriment. Can become over emotional and is very quick to share their feelings with other people, even if they don't want to hear it. Searching for love constantly, can be clingy and suffocating in relationships. They can also be critical, manipulative in order to get the love that they think they need from another person. Codependency and self-sabotage are prevalent in wounded feminine. They can be creative, but struggle to manifest any of their ideas into reality. They can procrastinate and have a tendency towards laziness. So you see that those, I'm sure everyone listening can go, yeah, that I can identify that bit in me, or that bit in me that I do, or in somebody else. And so when you then compare that to the divine aspects, which is kind of our ideal, this is where we want to be.
Yes.
So if I talk about the divine masculine first, which I think is probably the best one, when I can find the piece of paper that I've written it on.
I'm sure you have it all in your mind.
Yeah, sometimes. Okay, so yes, I found it. There we go. So, divine masculine has high integrity. When they make decisions, it's for the highest good of everyone involved. So that they've gone through the analytical process, but they've also tapped into their intuition, which is linking into their feminine side, to be able to make those really great decisions. They take responsibility for themselves and their actions. They can be disciplined and focused when required. They're authentically humble, but confident and open to learning. So this is the difference between arrogance and confidence. They're able to take ideas and manifest them into reality, and are capable of much deeper intimacy and unconditional love. So those are kind of some of the traits for divine masculine. And then divine feminine. And again, this is in both genders I'm talking about now. All right, there's this. I'll keep emphasizing this. So divine feminine, openly loving, trusting, and empathetic. Surrenders to their vulnerability.
Beautiful.
Naturally uses intuition, listening to the heart before the mind. And I think this is an interesting point. So when you look at the divine masculine, is able to, and this is when you're balanced, okay? So when you're balanced, between your masculine. Divine masculine is then listening to your analytical, logical, and then he's able to then connect to your divine feminine, which is listening to that intuition and the heart. So then when making those decisions, when doing those things, having that balance and being able to tap into both of those things gives you the ability to be able to make those beautiful decisions that are right for everyone. So that's a really good example. They can speak their mind in an authentic way without any shame.
Beautiful.
They have the ability to create boundaries, but in a very powerful, strong, and gracious way. Creativity naturally flows with the divine feminine, and the idea flows are effortless. And again, the balance with the divine masculine is the the inspiration, the energy, the ideas, they come from the divine feminine, and then they're manifested through the divine masculine. And so having that beautiful balance, if you're doing a project, if you're wanting to be successful in something that you're doing, and having that balance in place enables you to do both of those things. So you don't need someone separate to you to create the ideas. You don't need someone separate from you to be able to manifest those ideas. You
Mhm.
can do it all yourself as a balanced human being. Yeah.
And I believe, yeah, are you finished with that list
Yeah.
or not
Yeah.
yet? So I believe you have a beautiful meditation for us, which you also want to give away, right? So you can guide us through that
That's right.
meditation.
So obviously they're going to listen to the meditation, and for me to do that now. But the recording that I have to give away has some beautiful music with it, and you can do it
Wonderful.
again and again.
Yeah.
So,
Hold on, before we go there, maybe I will ask if anybody would like to receive Merlin's ebook or meditation. Please put your name in the comment box and we will select the winners at the end of this podcast. Okay, so now let's all prepare and put your names in the comment box if you would like to be eligible for the giveaway. Good. I'm ready.
you're ready. Cool. Okay,
Um,
so just kind of a little bit of a caveat here. So don't do this meditation if you're driving, or listening to any machinery and stuff, because we're going to kind of relax and do some visualization. So it's really important that you're in a nice, comfortable position to do that.
mhm.
All right, should we kick off then?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
so first of all, let's just make sure that wherever you are, that you're sitting nice and comfortably, and let's close your eyes and focus on your breathing. So we're going to go initially in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you do that, let's notice the rhythm of your chest and stomach going up and down. Finding a nice, easy way of breathing again that feels comfortable. Turn your focus to your toes and your feet and send a beautiful breath all the way down to them and feel them relax. Now move up to your legs. Feel the breath go down to them, relaxing the muscles. And nice and soft, nice and loose. And now your thighs, just let those go, let them relax. Your stomach and chest, let's loosen and relax those now. And have your arms in a nice comfortable position. We hold lots of tension in our shoulders and our neck, so let's just drop the shoulders and your neck and release any tension that's there. Let it go with every exhale of breath. Now your face muscles and your jaw, let's just relax those, and your forehead. And let your tongue settle beautifully and comfortably in your mouth. So hopefully now we're feeling a little bit more relaxed. I'm going to ask you to surround yourself with a circle of pink light and a circle of blue light. We're going to enter into your inner world. This space allows for full healing and connection with your higher self. I'd like you to move your awareness from your head to your heart. And now you're going to visualize yourself sitting on a bench in a beautiful garden. And you take in the smell of roses and the scent of jasmine. The garden is vast with a huge lawn and beds of flowers around the edges. In the center, sat upon a podium, is a circular arbor, and set in the middle there is a table. You cannot see what is on the table, but your curiosity is piqued, and you get up from the bench and walk towards the podium. You reach the bottom of the steps of the podium and start walking up. When you reach the top of the steps, you see in front of you a table, and in the center of the table is a set of beautiful brass scales. You take a moment to appreciate the workmanship in the scales. Looking at the pans of the scales, you will see that the one on the left, represents your feminine side, and the one on the right represents your masculine side. Look carefully and notice in which direction the pans of the scales are tipped. Are they more to the left or to the right? Or are they balanced? Now, you need to go deep inside yourself to identify divine masculine and divine feminine traits that you feel you need to bring forth and embody. Is there something that you are aware of that you are lacking or that you would like to develop further? As you visualize these, you'll see that the divine feminine traits will be beautiful pastel colors. They'll be soft, flowing, and sweet smelling. The divine masculine traits will have primary colors of different shades. They will be firm, have straight lines, have the scent of pine, and be rough to the touch. As you identify these traits in these different colors, I'd like you to collect each of the traits that you wish to bring forth and bless them now. Now, back on the pagoda, you will begin to notice flower petals floating towards you from the left side of the garden. These beautiful, pretty pastel colours. And you'll see one floats down onto your hand, and it has a word written on it that says love. You place this onto the left side of the pan of the scales, and another petal floats onto your hand and says the word compassion. And again, you place this onto the left side of the scales. And one by one, these pastel petals fall onto your hand with the different qualities of divine feminine energy, which include the ones that you collected earlier. And you place them all onto the left pan of the scales. Now you notice flower petals coming from the right side of the garden. They are all bold primary colours, and a red petal lands in your right hand and has the word strength written on it. You go and place the petal in the right side of the scales. Another petal floats down. It is a deep blue colour and lands onto your right hand and has the word confidence written on it. You take the petal and place this again on the right side of the scales. One by one, primary colour petals fall into your hand with the different qualities of divine masculine energy, including any of the traits that you brought forth earlier, and you place them all onto the right pan of the scales. You look at the scales and now see that they are balanced. You look into the pan of the feminine qualities, and all of the petals have turned into a thick liquid. And then rising out of the liquid, you see the form of a beautiful woman who stands to the left of the table where the scales sit. You now look into the pan of the divine masculine qualities, and all of the petals have also turned into a thick liquid. And then rising out of the liquid, you see the form of a handsome man who stands to the right of the table where the scales sit. The two people represent the two parts of you. In the air, you see floating an infinity symbol. One end of the symbol goes around the wrist of the man, and the other around the wrist of the woman. The symbol binds the masculine and feminine traits together as whole. They are now one. They are now you. The man who represents the masculine within you turns into water, and at the same time, the woman who represents the feminine within turns to air. The air spins around the water, bringing it into a whirlpool, and the whirlpool goes towards your heart chakra. It then pours into your heart chakra and goes down into your solar plexus and sacral chakras. The infinity sign that binds them goes through your third eye chakra. The balanced masculine and feminine aspects of you are now fully integrated into your body, mind, and spirit. Sitting in the arbor, you feel a sense of peace, a sense of oneness with yourself. You feel whole. You feel balanced and at peace. And so it is. Now, return your focus to your physical body, focusing within. Bring with you the sense of balance, oneness, and peace forth into a new beginning as a person with fully balanced divine feminine and divine masculine qualities. And as soon as you feel ready, open your eyes and find yourself back in the room.
I loved it. Beautiful meditation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I'm so balanced. I just want to go to bed now. It's so
That was kind of the worrying bit. Everyone's so chilled and relaxed.
beautiful. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed it. It was really lovely. So this is something that you will record, or is recorded, and it's with music.
Yeah, I have it in
Yeah, people are saying, yeah, thank you. That was awesome. Thank you so much. So powerful. Yes, look at this. How nice. That was awesome. Thank you so much. So powerful. Lovely. We love that you enjoyed it. I felt the energy in the palms of my hands. Someone says, Facebook users, Facebook users, Facebook users. Yes. Thank you. Please give permission to StreamYard, or maybe now it's too late to do that. Just put your name in the comment box, Facebook users. We have many of you here. So put your name in there so you are eligible for the meditation and for the book. Right, so we are 34 minutes in. Let's say, to be safe, we will have 15 more minutes. So what more would you like to say to our beautiful audience before we go on? And give the books away, to books and to meditations. We have quite a few names there. So yes, Marion, sorry, take it away.
No problem. So I think what I'd like to do, this is actually a quote from my book, but this is when I write about this in my book, I give this as an example of someone who isn't balanced and what can happen. So I think it would be be really good to kind of read this. And then what I'm going to do is go into kind of how do you go about identifying those different traits, and what process would you go through to kind of create more balance. So I think that would be kind of the best way to finish off.
Yes.
So this quote, so this is an example. So people who have wounded traits tend to be drawn to people who have the traits that are the same as them, or who are lacking, or traits that actually suit their own wounding. For example, a man who has wounded masculine traits and a lack of divine feminine traits may be attracted to a woman who has wounded feminine traits. The controlling, fear-based, competitive man is attractive to the needy, victim, codependent woman who feels that the man can keep her safe and she can save him and put him above her own needs. These traits are initially attractive to the man who feels that she would be easily controlled and do exactly what he wants. However, this is, of course, a recipe for disaster, as her clingy, over-emotional ways will stifle him, and he turns easily to anger and resentment. And ultimately, and I have, personal examples of friends where this has happened, it then turns to violence, domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of an example of how things can go horribly wrong in relationships. And the message always that I kind of give to clients and to people is you have to work on you. It has to be you. You want to be a whole person, and so to have a successful, if you imagine if you've got, you're a whole person with these beautiful divine feminine and divine masculine traits, lovely and balanced, and so you're then going into a relationship with someone who is the same.
Yeah.
That is a foundation for a really healthy, beautiful relationship that isn't going to go through some of the awful peaks and troughs and pitfalls of people who have the wounded traits. And I just kind of didn't mention this earlier. I think it's important for me to say this as well, is that this it doesn't make any difference someone's individual sexual preference either. So if we're talking about same-sex relationships, the same principle applies totally to those balanced masculine and feminine traits. So it doesn't make any difference what someone's sexuality is. So I guess, how do we create balance? I mean, we've got this beautiful meditation, which, of course, is a lovely way to really kick off the energy within and to help sort of the higher self to really identify what to do. But in terms of a practical way, so the list that I created, I read out of those wounded and divine traits. They are actually in my book. So there's a list of them here, but you can, if you Google it, find those lists online as well. And so the first stage is, in my book, I write, and this was something that came out of my doctorate research. I have, very similar to your pillars, Natalia, I have the 7 pillars of personal change.
Yeah. By the way, Marilyn, before we forget, anybody who missed episode 9 of the Lovetarian Way, we went deeply into those pillars. Yeah. So please go to YouTube and rewatch the episode 9 where you were the guest.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 7 pillars, I'll briefly recap. So pillars 1 and 2 are raising awareness and observation. Pillars 3 and 4 are making sense and challenging beliefs. 5 and 6 are deciding on change, testing out new ways, and 7 then is adopting a new way of being. And this is a change program for you to be able to make behavioral change within you. So using pillars 1 and 2 is that you can take a look at those divine feminine and divine masculine and wounded feminine and masculine traits, and identify yourself. Well, actually, I think I need to do a bit of work here. I need to do a bit of work there, and obviously, self-honesty is really, really important when you sort of dealing with this, and it's also taking responsibility for yourself, because you're going, well, this is me and this is what I do. And this is not about judging yourself. It's not about beating yourself up, going, oh dear, I'm like this, I'm like that. None of that. This is just about being kind of honest and going, right, okay, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
And you can probably observe yourself over a period of time, a week, 2 weeks to go, in my interactions, in my reactions to things. Am I actually showing some of those traits coming through in particular situations, for example? So this is where pillars 1 and 2 is. It's really about not getting kind of caught up in the why, but more lets me just observe what I'm doing and see what I can identify. And then 3 and 4 are about then you, once you've done that observation, you should go, okay, making sense of it. Where does that, if I've got wounded traits, where are they coming from, and why? And under every behavior and every issue that we have, what you'll find is that there is an underlying belief that we have, which is why I say to challenge beliefs. Because in that we have a belief that we're not, say for example, a belief that we're not good enough, we don't deserve success, we don't deserve happiness, we don't deserve love. I mean, these are all very common beliefs that people have in their belief system. And so it's about being able to really challenge the belief underneath the reasons why we have that particular trait. And then once you've done that and you've identified why, you can do with beliefs, what I coach clients doing is to use true or false. So you write down, you journal or write down all of these things that you believe to be true, that your mind, say for example, your mind chatter is saying to you. And then you do true or false. So are these things actually true? And usually I find with clients, 90% of the time, they're false. And then you need to go, okay, so what do I need to do differently to ensure that I'm working on that particular area, and never try and do too much at any one time. But by having that new awareness, what you're doing is you're bringing it from your subconscious mind to your conscious mind, and bringing a new kind of awareness of doing it. So when something comes up, what you need to do is then go, okay, I know what I'm doing here, so this is what I'm going to do differently, behave in a different way. So and you just trust, you just have to test things out, what works, what doesn't work for you in a different situation. And then that you can then start working on something else. But it's always about doing the inner work and being really self-honest.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much. I think this is a perfect time to give some stuff away to help people.
Oh yes, that's exciting. I love all the stuff away.
Well, we have some very active women here, so for sure I'm just looking at this one. So the book is gonna go to, am I saying this correctly? Aquia Seldon.
Are you writing these down, Natalia?
Yes, and I will also show. So actually, how would you like to give it away? Should the girls
I'm going to need their email address so I can then email them a link to download the ebook.
I don't believe they want to do it in public with their email address. So maybe
if we want to
your website, maybe
go to our website, go to contact, send me a message, say that you were a winner on the Lovetarian podcast of the ebook, and then I'll have, and give me your email address in that.
So Aquia or Aquila Seldon, please go to www.merlinpixton.com and fill out that form. Alternatively, contact me or contact Merlin by messenger, right? We're all on Facebook, we're all in the group.
Yeah.
Perfect. So she's gonna get the copy of your ebook, yes?
Yeah, cool.
Next we have, who do we have here? Let's see. I'm just doing like the wheel, and then let's see what it's gonna fall. Let's see. You still have a chance. Enter your names. Oh, next one is Jackie. So Jackie Nova, she's going to get a meditation. So Jackie, contact me or contact Dr. Merlin, and you will get it sent to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That comes as an MP3, the meditation. So
Perfect. Now we have another book. Let's see who else has their name there. I saw all those comments are going so quickly. Okay, well, I just gonna put that one because I just saw her enter her name. We know who that is. And yeah, and then make you're gonna get the book. So yeah, well, we connected. We are connected. And then the meditation is gonna go to Mila Zimunhu, who was actually a guest on our podcast last week.
Oh, wow.
Social media expert. Yeah, congratulations, everyone. Excellent. Perfect. So 2 books and 2 meditations. And I'm going to put your website here again.
Yeah.
So everybody can get in touch. Please send this.
merlinpixton.com and then /contact. Or just go onto the contact page and then that'll come through to me. Yeah.
So Aquila, Mila, Jackie, and Mila. Yes, perfect. Oh, ladies, rock and roll. So perfect. This was a beautiful podcast. Unfortunately, as much as we would love to talk for hours, we do want to keep it to an hour because we want to put it on Instagram as well. And that's good. So if anybody has any questions for Dr. Merlin, here's your last chance, 5 minutes while we're going to be wrapping this up. Show us your book once again. It's really beautiful. Yes, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on his website. You can get it in the bookstore. I think Amazon is the easiest, huh?
It all depends where you are. Yeah, I mean the Amazon. It's on Amazon worldwide. In North America, it's on BarnesandNoble.com. In the UK, it's in Waterstones, which is another bookstore in a UK bookstore. So yeah. Amazon actually have got a deal at the moment on the hardback. I think the hardback is actually cheaper than the paperback at the moment.
Great. So. Perfect. Great. Well, she says I could listen to this topic for another hour. Yes, I know. Well, I'm sure Merlin will be back again in a few months. So if you would like to refer back to episode 9 of The Libertarian Way, go to YouTube, like our channel. Go to YouTube, like Merlin's channel. What is your channel, Merlin Pixton?
Dr. Merlin Pixton, yeah.
So
actually, I'd like to put those 2 on my channel as well. So if we can...
definitely. I'll send you the download, so that would be great.
Awesome.
Right. So any final words for our audience?
Any final words? I think it's just really the message for me on this is don't get hung up about your gender and what society kind of tells you should be, or whoever you are and whatever your representation of your gender, you are perfectly you. And so it's just really important for everyone to know that. And that goes, and I really emphasize this in not only your gender, but your sexuality as well. I mean, it's absolutely, you are that individual, perfect representation of source within.
Beautiful. Yeah. You heard the man. So wonderful podcast. And of course, we have a weekly episode, so join us next week. Next week we have a very powerful coach woman, Carly Velder. So she's joining us from British Columbia, I believe. So we have a nice international mix of light workers, right? Working together, creating community here. Now more comments coming. Yes, amen. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Congratulations. Yes, it was a very nice podcast. So without further ado, everybody have a lovely evening. Tune in to our websites, Facebook, share it wide and long, far.
Yes, please.
The word shines. So I'm going to thank everyone. It was perfect. I mean, up to 50 minutes. Beautiful. Short and sweet, beautiful meditation there. We're going to put timestamps on this podcast so people can find the meditation specifically, those who did not get rewards, but don't worry, you can of course listen to YouTube.
I do add as well, you can actually buy my meditation from my website as well. So if anyone didn't win it, then it is available on there.
Yes, exactly.
Along with there's actually a collection of 6 of them which are from my book, all recorded.
Yes, and it's all available on your website. So
yeah.
Go and check it out. Well, thank you very much. Have a good night or a good day, everyone, depending where you are in the world. And I will see you next week. So join us on the 18th with Carly for another episode of the Levitarian Way podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Have a
Natalia.
lovely day. Namaste.
Namaste.